So first question, what is social VR? In short, social VR refers to 3D virtual spaces where multiple users can interact with one another through a virtual reality head-mounted displays. In social VR, people can create and customize full-body track avatar to interact with others. That means one's avatar body actions would correspond to their physical body actions in the real time. By using such avatar, people can enjoy real-life activities in a highly realistic, simulated 3D virtual environment. So what does this to do with teenagers? Among all virtual reality users, teenagers remain one of the large user groups. Based on the common sense media, 70% of children aged 8 to 18 having a VR headset, and 27% of teenagers aged 13 to 18 have tried virtual reality. Also, VRChat is one of the most popular and widely used social VR platforms with 190,000 daily active users. So teenagers' heavy engagement in social VR platforms opens up a great challenge and new social issues. For example, based on BBC report, they can engage in a strip club. Those issues motivate us to think, what are teenager experiences in social virtual reality? As we exploring this topic, we notice that unlike other social media platforms, social VR embraces a strong flavor of multiple stakeholders. That means teenagers can be influenced by other people in those spaces, for example, their parents. Their parents bought the devices, and some parents start to play a social VR to be part of their kids' activities, or they try to take some level of control. For example, Meta allows parents to limit their kids' activities. Then we have bystanders. Bystanders who are neither teenagers nor parents, but have interaction with others in social VR. They also have critical role in teenager experiences because they are the ones who are actually interacting with them. So we believe that it is important to study multi-stakeholder to get a comprehensive perspective of social VR, which help us to understand teenager experiences holistically. We asked the following research questions. First questions, what threat are teenagers exposed to in social VR from the perspective of teenager, bystander, and parents? Then we have, what are the similar perspective and tension among those groups regarding social VR threats? And we have, what feature do they desire to combat safety threat in social VR? In this talk, due to the time limitation, I'm going to only focus on the first two questions. So to answer our questions, we conducted 23 in-depth, semi-structured interviews with diverse social VR users. In total, we interviewed 8 teenagers, 9 bystanders, and 7 parents. And 6 parents. We then conducted in-depth thematic analysis to analyze the data. Based on our finding, we identified several new characteristics of threat in social VR. In our paper, we discuss our methodology in details, including the several ethical considerations through the study. And please see the paper for those details. One of the most interesting findings is about the safety threat teenagers encounter while using social VR and how they perceive these threats as a risk. Here we identify 6 of them, and I will focus on 3 of them in this talk. One of the most common risks mentioned by participants is private rooms. People can create private rooms and become an admin, and they can add people by sending direct invitation link. Also, the admin set rules for those private rooms, and there is no system-side moderation. People can freely engage and behave in those spaces without any boundaries. Many teenagers reported that they joined private rooms to socialize with friends and engage in a quiet game setting. However, some bystanders and parents have noticed that these private rooms aren't always effectively monitored, and some people might exploit them for malicious purposes. For example, P23 shared his concern about big screen, that teenager would invited by adult to watch adult content in a private room, or adult create a public room in big screen, and after a teenager joined the room, they change the setting of the room to private room. Another threat that we discover and is unique for social VR is phantom sense, which is about the sensation of feeling touch on one's virtual body in a virtual environment. Phantom sense enhances the realism of virtual reality experiences by creating the illusion of sense by human brain. It can enhance the emotional and joyful aspect of VR activities. However, in our study, participants reported instances of harassment experienced through phantom sense, that malicious users took advantage of this phenomenon. For example, T8 reported her experience of being harassment through phantom sense, and she said, "I have phantom sense on my arm, forehead, and nose. It's not good to have it. I regret mentioning that I had it. If people know about it, a lot of them will abuse me. It feels like someone is scratching me. I took off my headset like it makes me feel uncomfortable when they get close." Another important safety risk that we identify is about erotic role-playing avatar. So this kind of avatar is a form of role-playing around sexual behavior and intention. Participants mentioned that users can customize their avatar with sexual symbols and engage in virtual experiences within adult-oriented online communities. These avatars are supposed to be restricted to private rooms. However, some people still use these avatars in public spaces. In addition, there is an issue with monitoring private rooms related to ERP avatar. Access to these private rooms is not closely monitored, and that means teenagers might be able to get the link to those places through social media platform or other means. For example, B11 mentioned that teenagers could access ERP through quick search on Discord and request an invitation. He said, "I think he was just 15 years old who reached out to someone who did ERP, and he released his age to the person in ERP, but he still went through it. They allowed him to have some sort of ERP even knowing his age." Although there were some similarity among our participants' opinion, we also noticed that 3 groups of participants could have different experiences on the same subjects. For example, teenagers mentioned that they had never encountered an ERP avatar in virtual reality as they were only found in specific private rooms. However, parents and bystanders witnessed instances where teenagers face ERP in public spaces, or they attempt to access ERP avatar, which is not difficult. In addition, they can purchase ERP avatar for themselves by doing a simple search on the internet. Another differences between teenager viewpoint by bystanders is that some of the teenagers found the phantom sense to be a cool feature that enhanced enjoyment in virtual reality. However, according to bystanders, some teenagers unknowingly exploited the phantom sense and engaging in harassing behavior toward other users. This unintended behavior could potentially lead teenagers to transition from being victims to becoming predators. Our research highlights that social VR lacks established social norms, and the norms governing our physical world may not seamlessly apply to social VR setting. So what does it mean? For example, teenagers are restricted from going to bars to drink alcohol in real life. However, the absence of clear social norm in social VR has allowed them to join drinking bars and potentially leading them to consuming alcohol. Additionally, the anonymous nature of individuals in social VR makes the identification of suitable norms more complicated, and teenagers are always able to engage in activities and conversation with adults without any restriction and boundaries. Moreover, technical limitations in social VR present challenges for user safety. For example, private rooms managed only by the admins, and this lack of oversight means that users' activities within these private rooms remain unchecked by the platform. Additionally, it is very simple to use third-party platforms like Unity and Blender to make an avatar. However, social VR platforms lacked control over these third-party tools and didn't offer a way to filter customized avatar. They only checked the size of the avatar to let them to import the avatar to VRChat. As a result, users could easily make and use ERP avatar, which could potentially be used for harmful purposes. Based on our finding, we propose direction for social VR design to better support teenagers. We suggest designing age-specific matching mechanism for users in social VR. For example, teenagers could be matched with their peers and meet other teenagers. We also suggest to have emergency bottoming platforms that teenagers can press it when feeling unsafe, and the platform moderators and parents should be notified if feature is activated. Once activated, the platform should have the ability to record evidence in social VR. But these recorded videos must be stored only the platforms and should only be accessible to the platform's moderators. Additionally, we recommend educating non-tech-savvy parents about VR safety by offering short lessons on topics like bullying or inappropriate content in virtual reality. This will help to raise awareness among parents. So this work is the first exploration of teenager experiences and safety threat from perspective of teenager, bystanders, and parents. We still have a lot of interesting finding and design implication for building more safe spaces for teenagers, and please read our full paper for more details. Thank you so much for your listening.